Okay guys, in this part we're going to do the skin. Now for the skin it's always very important to make sure that your model doesn't look like a Barbie doll. We still want a real human being on our picture, right? So how can we do this best? Well, the best way is to separate the skin and the pores. In other words, I still want all the detail in the picture, but I want the skin to be nice and even, because you can see there's some unevenness in the skin. Now the best thing to do this is with an frequency separation technique, and I already showed it in another Quite Frankly, but I'm going to show you again because we're going to speed that procedure up a lot. The first thing I do is I will make two duplicate layers. The first one I will call the skin. The second one I will call detail. There we go. For the skin we're actually going to blur. So here we go, Gaussian blur. And we'll set it around 9 or 12, depending on the picture, of course. In this case, can take a little bit more. There we go. Press OK. Now the top one, there you have to be a little bit careful. What you do is you do Image, and you do Apply Image. Now we want to do that, of course, from the skin layer. RGB, and we go to Blending Mode, Add. Now if you do add, you have to use this invert, and you do a scale of 2 and 0. You can also do subtract. In that case you do 2 and 128, and you don't do invert. So both are possible. So we press OK. And the only thing I now have to do is make sure that this one is on linear light. And now you don't see any difference anymore. Now I create a small group, and I drag these two in. There we go. Now of course you can start working on the lower layer by doing selections, Gaussian blur, and make the skin even that way, which I showed in the previous video, but there's a way better method. Now if you use filters, you can already do a lot with skin, right? A lot of people use Imagenomic Portraiture, which is really great. Now if you use this technique, you can still use those filters. We're going to do it slightly different. I now selected the skin layer, and what I will actually do is I'll go into Filter, go into Imagenomic Portraiture, and it's very important now that you use these settings. Everything on full blast, feathering on 0 of course, sharpness on 0, softness on 40 on full power. If you're in doubt, select the skin tones and press OK. You see this goes really fast, nothing is edited in the image. Sorry, in the video. And you can already see the effect, it's really nice and smooth. If you go into 100%, you can see it even better. So this is with the effect, and this is without. It really smoothens out the skin, and for me this makes a whole big difference, because this makes it a little bit more final for an image, and not looking unnatural, but it's more smoothened out. Okay, so we call this one Portraiture. Let's do it like this. And let's also show you another option, because we of course have different filters. So let's create a duplicate layer of this, and one of the other filters you can use is actually Topaz Clean 3. But I want to show you the difference between the two. Now if I run Topaz on this, you'll see that it's different. It's still very usable, but it's totally different. So let's go into that filter. And now remember, Topaz is a lot cheaper than Imagenomic Portraiture, so don't expect the same results, but as you will see, it comes really nice and close. Again, I do the strength, the threshold, and radius I leave somewhere here, but it's all very high, meaning you will get a lot of blurring. Texture, of course, nowhere, because we don't want texture in this layer. The texture is actually on the top layer. So you press OK. Okay, there we go. Now I cut out a lot of the video because this is actually 10 times slower, and I didn't want to leave you guys waiting. So here we have the Topaz result. It's better than the original. It's nice and smoothened. But you can also see that in the glasses and here in the nose there are some problems. It actually changes this. Also with the eyes, it creates some weird double shadows. So you will need a layer mask for this to create it really nice, and you have to be really careful not to infect the glasses or the eyes. So it will take a lot of work. Now if I do Portraiture again, you can immediately see that everything looks fine. So this is Portraiture and this is Topaz. They do it very similar on the skin, but you can see that Topaz gives it a little bit of a glow or ghosting or whatever you want to call it. So you have to be very careful when you do your layer mask. Compared to Portraiture, which does it really nice and even. And this is the original image, by the way. So you can see that it really smoothens it out nicely. So my personal opinion, Imagenomic Portraiture wins. Now after you did the smoothing and you want a little bit more, you can run the filter again, of course. But in this case it's okay. Now you have to make sure that everything looks a little bit more clean. So you go to the detail layer. Now what I do is I will use the healing brush. And as you can see, I use the healing brush in an oval. I don't use it round, but oval. You can change that over here. You go here and you just change it from round to the shape. And you can change also the area where it selects. There you go. Now why do I use this? I think it's better because you can get easier in areas like this than with a round one. And in the end you don't see the retouching as obvious as with a round one. So that's why I use the oval size. Now you can spend hours and hours on this. I won't because it's a video, so I will just do some areas to get you a general idea of what I'm doing. Now around the eyes, don't take away all this, how do you call it, unevenness or little details in the skin, because in the end we all have those, and if you take them out, your model will look like a Barbie doll, and we don't want that. But I will take out the stuff that I really don't want in there. There we go. Of course we also want to take out this. Nice. Now on birthmarks it's very nice if you leave them in if you make a portrait. If you do commercial work or you do work for yourself and the model is really a model, so it's not about the model but about the picture, then you can take away birthmarks or put them in a different place if you want that. But if you do a portrait of somebody, don't take them out because it defines who we are, right? We all know where they are. Okay, so there we are. And the nice thing, because I'm working on the detail layer, is I don't have to be afraid of any colors that are mixing up like you normally do when you use the healing brush. It really only takes the detail. And that's because we separated those layers. So remember, the colors are on the bottom layer with the skin. And this is only the detail layer. So even if I sample here, I will still get only the detail. Okay. And a little bit on the forehead. Now I won't take away a lot of the wrinkles here, because I also think they belong there. We're working again with a human being, so maybe I will take out one. Okay, I can spend hours on this, but again I will do it very roughly. There we go. Okay, now let's see what we did before and after, and we only spent like 5 minutes on it. This is the before, this is the after. Now if you zoom in, you can see the effect a lot better. Go to 100%. And we do it before. Oh, sorry. Before and after. It's a really quick technique. Now the only thing we still have to do is make a layer mask, because I don't want this group to be on the whole picture, only on the skin. And because I use Imagenomic Portraiture, which actually takes in account the glasses, the eyes and the lips, I can do it very rough. So I will go into a layer mask, hide all. I will take a brush with white paint and I will actually paint the effect only in the areas where I want it. Now if you're using Topaz Clean, you will have to be very careful to paint back the mouth, the nose area here, the glasses and the eyes, and maybe even this little part. So there's a lot of reasons to go for Imagenomic Portraiture, but if you don't have the budget, Topaz Clean 3 actually does a brilliant job. It's very, very good, and it's a lot cheaper again. Okay. Now if you still want a little bit more evening out of the skin, let's say you have some problems over here, you can of course use something called the mixer brush. And with Manon it's not really necessary, but let's say you want it. You go to the detail, you go to the blurred layer, of course where it's only the skin. You take your brush, I use it on very wet 100% and load 50. You select a color and you just very gradually paint the effect in. Now with Manon you hardly see any difference, but trust me, when you have a model that has really uneven skin, you will see it immediately. It mixes in the colors very nicely. There we go. Okay. And the mixer brush I don't use a lot. Normally that's good makeup and a model with great skin. So again, the before and after in only like 5 minutes. Now for the next episode we're gonna do the final retouching of this portrait.